Welcome to Protected Presence USA, the podcast, a podcast that offers English listeners a window into the Protected Presence movement and the reality in the West Bank that makes that activism necessary. On this episode of the podcast, two of our hosts, Moishele, Alfonso, and Amit, Orfali, get to have a long conversation with the extremely brave Adele Shoko, who is both an activist and a journalist who lives in the West Bank. She talks a lot about how she became the person that she is today. Both Amit and Moishele know Adele from work on the ground and have a relationship with her and have seen how brave she is in action. But they get to go sort of behind the scenes about the backstory of how she became this person. And she also spends a great deal of time encouraging listeners to join her and explains what that would look like and how you would be taken care of by the beautiful community that she is a part of in the West Bank.
Hey, gang.
Hi, Adele. I want to start by first saying thank you for being on our podcast. Talking about protective presence is so important. Moishele and I will ask you a few questions about protective presence, about what are you doing, how did you come here, and feel free to share any information you want our listeners to know, and any stories, personal stories you may have. And we'll start by asking you to tell a bit about yourself. Who are you? What are you doing? How did you start doing that?
Yeah, I'm an independent journalist and a solidarity activist. I'm going all over the West Bank, the Jordan Valley, Massafariyata, East Ramallah, and I'm staying on the ground with the communities, with Palestinian communities, and reporting on what's happening there, the settler attacks, the army violence, and the ongoing occupation.
How long have you been doing that?
Over a year.
Over a year. Wow. Could you tell us how you got involved? Like, what was the process like for you?
Yeah, sure. I knew what's happening in the West Bank for a while, but I couldn't find the right people like to bring me there, because usually you need someone to invite you and like present you to the activist community, someone to vouch for you. And basically, I was invited on a date to go to the Jordan Valley, and I
Really?
said yes. Yeah.
What a date! Wow, so romantic.
How did that go?
Well, Jordan Valley is gorgeous, so it's a beautiful place for a date. Yeah, but I had zero Arabic, but I managed with some symbols, symbolic language, to talk to Palestinians and understand like to hear their stories, how their sheep were stolen, and to see the bruises on their hands. And I was devastated, and I decided, instead of staying for one day, to stay for free. I was like, I don't want to leave from here. Like, I want to see more. I want to know more. And after that, right away, I jumped in and started going all over the places, doing protective presence, meeting new people, trying to find where I can fit in. And eventually, I ended up in East Ramallah. I asked Andreax, where should I go? And he's like, Muhmas, go to Muhmas. Because he knew that out of all the places around the West Bank, this was the place where there was an urgent need of volunteers and activists, and it still is one of the most vulnerable places in the area. Yes, and I came there so that Arik Asherman, who is the head of the organization, was surrounded by 10 settlers, and he was completely alone facing them, and settlers were wandering around the village, destroying the property, and we didn't have enough people. And I asked Arik, please let me know what is your social media. I want to share. I want to invite more people, at least someone I already know. And he told me, you can post my phone number. And I'm like, no way, you don't have social media. Okay, maybe that's the problem. And I said, guys, you need to create social media. Like, we're living in 21st century. This is like one of the first steps, like how you invite activists on the ground. And people just looked at me and said, you do this. Why are you telling us to do this? You do this. And I'm like, no, guys, I came like to go all over the places. I don't want to like stay in one, because I knew that it will, yeah. But I got attached to Muhmas, because I was coming and staying there like for 3-4 days in a row, and it gave me enough motivation to create this social accounts, and I started posting every single day. I understood how the format works, and there were plenty of attacks in East Ramallah to drag attention to what's happening. The account started growing very, very, very fast, and people actually, that was a very important moment for me, because for the first time I felt that we can make a difference, because people start learning about what's happening in East Ramallah. They're like, oh my god, there's Mas, there's Jabba, there's Dardibuan, and things are happening there, and activists are actually doing protective presence there. So it was a big deal for me. And for a while I was focused, I was behind the camera, I wasn't showing my face. And then I was doing protective presence in Duma with Andre X, and he basically challenged me if I can post a video with me talking on camera. And I'm like, don't do this. Don't challenge me. I went and filmed myself, and I realized that you can actually access more people and give more information if you film yourself. And eventually I ended up doing independent journalism, and I see the difference that I can make by continuing to do this work. But it's very important for me to come and stay on the ground with Palestinians, not only just go from place to place, but to connect with them, to hear their stories, to share them, and to be in the moment, to know what exactly is happening. Where is the outpost? What are the details of the places? I want to know that. I want to know their names.
For our listeners who maybe aren't familiar, Mukhmas it's a city about 40 minutes outside of Jerusalem, so it's relatively close to Jerusalem, and it's mainly inhabited by Palestinian Americans. But the place that Adele was talking about and that I've been to, and I'm sure Amit has been to, is a bit outside of Mukhmas, where the Bedouins lived. And as far as I know, they no longer live there. Is that correct, Adele? They've been
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it was a terrible experience. That for every activist, there is one moment when the community they get attached to is being expelled, and we all going through that. And we have each of us have a name, and for me it's Halita Sidra. Yeah, we were calling it Muhmas for social media, but it is Halita Sidra, Bedouin village near Muhmas. Yeah. And after 3 terrible arson attacks, they're relocated. And unfortunately, right now, I'm getting messages from them that they're continuing to be attacked. They relocated to Luben, and there was a report on the attack where the cars were smashed, the houses were attacked, the property damaged. So they continue to facing what they were going through, unfortunately.
That's terrible. I want to ask you, Adele, from your experience on the ground, are those incidents mainly done by settlers, or is there any involvement of the Israeli authorities, the army, the police?
Well, the settlers wouldn't be able to do what they do without the support by the IDF. Absolutely. So it's mutual work.
Yeah. And in
Yeah, and
the
a lot
attack
of
of
harassment and murders are being done by the IDF. So they're
and
equally responsible for what's happening.
you've actually been arrested when the Palestinian village of Duma was attacked in early March, right, by the army?
Yeah, correct.
Could you tell us about this
And
experience?
yeah, it actually was one of the examples of how Israel is targeting independent journalists. And it's not about my nationality or whatever. It's just about the fact that I came there and I was filming. Because when me and my colleague arrived on the scene, two of the activists were pepper sprayed and they were basically blind, surrounded by very violent settlers, because Duma is famous for those thugs. And I witnessed with my own eyes how settlers were shooting and aiming at Palestinians. And when they noticed us, they stopped doing that because they don't want to be filmed. This is one of the examples of how protective presence works. You film them and you basically prevent, like that deadly results. Eventually, we were attacked. My colleague was standing with his nose bleeding because one of the settlers kicked, bashed his head, his face. Yeah, and everything was documented. Everything was posted. Nothing being done about it. I was arrested on the accusation that I was part of a terror attack against Jews. Literally, that's like, I'm asking why you're arresting me. That's the explanation I'm getting. And in the end, I wasn't even charged with anything. The head of the Zionist propaganda organization just pointed, Im Terzu, just pointed a finger at me. And the Israeli army, with no questions, just came and arrested me. They interrogated me for 6 hours and just let me go. That was just to show that they have power over the independent journalism in the West Bank, a power over the activists, and they will do their best to stop us from helping Palestinians.
Yeah, I want to add to what Adele said, that days after this attack, the Bedouin community in Duma was displaced following a closed military zone order by the army. Adele said that every activist has a community that they relate to most. This was mine. And yeah, as with the Bedouins in Mukhmas, they're still being attacked in their new place, in where they've been forced to live now.
Yeah, of course, because
As
the settlers relocated. Right now, they basically finished with ethnic cleansing of the area C. We still hold some spots like Taiba area, though a big part of it is already area B. But right now they're targeting the towns, the big villages, where, yeah, exactly as you mentioned, where these communities are relocated because they have no place to go.
Yeah, Adele, I'd like to ask you. There's a big debate about how effective protective presence is nowadays, especially compared to like 10 years ago or 20 years ago. I believe it's definitely effective, but I was wondering if you could tell us about maybe some moment that was particularly moving, where you felt like you were making a difference in Palestinians' lives and what was going on.
Absolutely. I can give an example of what happened in Taiba. I was doing protective presence in Taiba several days ago, actually. And I have in my opinion, I will use my body as a shield to protect them, to protect the houses actually where Palestinians are staying inside. They had to sell their sheep because they know it will be eventually stolen, and the only thing that left is their homes. The only thing. So I know that I have to prevent the settlers from entering. I have to show them that there is the boundary, that there's the line they do not cross if I'm there, and it's working. I'm standing, and the settler just left because I was insisting on the fact that I will not let you go through. You're not entering this house, and he was pissed, but he left. That's the example. I keep telling you, we need to join, and we do make a difference. Yes, we're losing a lot of fights, but it's very important for us to join Palestinians. And it's not only about the actual result, it's also a lot about coming and staying on the ground and showing Palestinians that there are people who believe in their reality. It means a lot to them because part of my job is going around and talking to people, interviewing them, or getting messages and DMs on social media, and I get a lot just simple thank you for believing us. just that. So that's why I'm telling that I really would love more and more international activists to join and just witness what's happening, just to show Palestinians their support. It's a big deal. It makes a difference.
And in that vein, you were saying about putting your body on the line. What can you tell people that are interested about, like, people are very worried about their personal safety? I mean, you are out there in the field all the time. Is that typical that it's so violent, or what would you tell people who are interested in getting involved?
Oh, first of all, it's very important to understand that there are no people who will pressure any activists into doing something they don't want to do. And any protective presence you join, you will get this message that it's always up to you. And we're doing our best to also provide some safety to the activists. You do not cross the line where you feel that you're in danger and it doesn't worth it for you. We don't want activists to get harmed, their hands broken and whatever. For example, this is why in Kusra, in Area B, where activists do protective presence, they do not get out of the house. They are there to document, and they are there to interact with the army if they arrive in case of the attack. But they do not get out because it is dangerous. There are different areas where you still can stand next to the settler, and it's pretty safe for you actually. Yeah, you might get kicked, but it's not about actually being in danger. Uh, but in some places, their decision are being made about doing what we can, but there is a line you do not cross, obviously.
Yeah. So you've talked about Taiba. Could you tell the audience what's going on in Taiba right now, and how does a day in a life looks like for an activist or for Palestinians in Taiba?
Of course, first of all, I have to mention that this is the recent escalation in what's been happening there. The violence increased in the past 2 months because the settlers who ethnically cleansed more than 1,000 of Palestinians in the southern Jordan Valley from Ras Ain al Auja relocated to Taiba, to East Ramallah, to expel more communities because now they have free hands and they have to continue their job. These people know what they do, and they're there on a mission. So they established a new outpost. Ridiculously, it's right next to the military tower, just a meter from it, basically. And they coming daily. They're like they're like an alarm for Palestinians and activists. They come in at the exact same time, basically in the morning. You know that it's inevitable, and this is a very vulnerable place because there are a lot of families which are scattered around the eastern Taiba area. And this is why we require a lot of people to provide protective presence, because sometimes settlers are attacking different compounds and different families around this area. And we need to be everywhere to make sure that all the families are in safety. So the need for activists there is dire. There are some days where I was staying on the ground and we had settlers from 6 a.m. till 6 in the evening, non-stop violence. They were smashing the water tanks, leaving the whole families without any water, and we had to bring them some canisters of water for them to survive. They would cut the fences, and we should be there. We can't leave these families alone.
Thank you for sharing that and telling us how important it is to come to Taiba and East Ramallah and actually everywhere in the West Bank where Palestinians are getting attacked by settlers. We hear a lot about those incidents with settlers, about how hard it is to do a protective presence. But could you tell us about a moving moment, a nice story from your experience with Palestinians?
With Palestinians. Well,
Yeah,
first of all, I
with
have to say
protective
that
presence.
I live in the West Bank, so
I live in the West
I'm here a guest. But this is basically I'm sometimes asking, can I just say it? Like, I can't say this is my home, but I can say this is the closest I felt to home because of the how welcoming Palestinians are. They literally changed me and my life because they taught me that my home is your home and that you're ready to give everything to other people. They just like teach you this, and then you come to different places like Europe, and I'm like, oh my god. I don't think I want to live anywhere but like Arab countries because this culture is wonderful. Uh, there's so much warmth and intimate moments you share. When I'm coming to the communities, I'm hugging women, shaking men's hands, and they know our names and they're so happy to see us. So I am planning to share a video on my social media where I'm just it's like a compilation of different moments when we're sharing a dinner on Ramadan, on when we are playing football with kids, you know, or like learning something about their culture. uh, it's a big part of what I'm doing. It does motivate me to come there because of what I'm getting from these people, these precious moments, and this life is special also because of that for me.
Thank you so much. What would you say does a typical day look like for you, Adele Shoko? What does your day look like? A day in the life of Adele. What the? And I want to say I don't think you're a typical protective presence activist. Like you are really out there, but I'm very curious. That I think our listeners would be too. Our audience, like, what
Yeah.
is your day to day like?
Well, I have to mention that I'm not only live in the West Bank. Basically, this independent journalism is my life. This is my work, and I commit all my time to what I do. This became my life basically. So I'm either on the ground. Sometimes I have to visit some places. Like for example, I was in the north, and this is not a protective presence. This is showing what's happening there. Going to the Nur Shams refugee camp and covering new settlements there, and then I'm switching and going to the communities and staying there like for 3-4 days doing protective presence and doing media because I know that there are like two different types of media I'm doing. Some to cover what's happening in like in areas where there are no activists, and some to invite actually volunteers because I'm showing what's happening on the ground, right, in these villages. Like I try to do my best to mention every time join protective presence, guys, in the end of the video. Yeah, and the rest of the time I'm staying at home and editing these videos. It takes a lot of time. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
we
very
started
intense,
this.
intense life.
Yeah, we started this episode discussing about not just a day in your life, but yesterday of your life. Could you tell us what happened? What was the incident
Yeah,
that we were talking about?
yeah. Um, CNN crew and several independent journalists, including me, Andre Aggs, Jasper Nathaniel, and two very famous Italian journalists, went to accompany a Palestinian, Kamal Musalat, whose son was murdered by the Israeli settlers exactly a year ago. They beat him to death and then threw uh, basically some like stones or something into his throat while he was already dead. It's a terrible incident, and it was reported widely because he has also an American citizenship, and he was killed on the hill, which is occupied by the settlers. By the way, in Area A, which is unprecedented, uh, occupied since last April. And Kamal asked us to accompany him there to see the place where his son died. He wanted to commemorate this visit to his son's death to show resilience, basically, because without us, Palestinians can't go there. It will end up with another Palestinian victim. And anyway, we were attacked by the settlers who occupied this land, and they smashed the windshield of our car. They attempted to slash our tires. They threw stones at us and chased us till the entrance to the village, where we actually would have a backup because Palestinians knew that we are doing this. Everyone was prepared for this results, unfortunately. But it was very important to show that Palestinians still are ready to fight for their land, even if they need us and CNN crew, which obviously provides certain protection to do that. But it's very important to bring attention to that because it's Area A. This is a new wave of occupation. But
Oh, and
I
it,
have
it
to
happened
mention
near
that
the
this
village,
is the third attack on journalists in this area in the past year, only in the past year.
and it happened near the Palestinian village of Sinjil, right?
Correct. This is the village of Sinjil, but it's in East Ramallah. It's a special place because it goes from one village to another, and a lot of land which looks like it belongs to one village actually officially according to the documents belongs to another, and the land belongs to Mazra Sharkia from which the victims are.
Yeah, and this area of Sinjil and the villages of East Ramallah is especially being strangled right now by the Israeli authorities. Just this June, 900 new houses were approved for a nearby settlement. Just want to add this information to our listeners to understand how the process of this ethnic cleansing is moving in one hand by the settlers and in the other hand by the state.
Absolutely. There is an example of how, after the settler attack and our escape, we were joined by the army. And we joined by the army, which started attacking us in Ankara, physically pushing them, preventing them from filming. And 20 minutes later, another army trucks are arriving to the scene, and they're incredibly nice. And we understand that they were sent because they got an update that there is actually a CNN crew. And yeah, this is something they have to take care of it. And I actually have to mention that 4 settlers were apprehended and arrested after this attack on us. So this is an example of how they have to do their job for once when it involves mainstream international media.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that recently in the news, people who get a lot of attention are American citizens, joint Palestinian American citizens. But I think, it's hard for us that we're not there to imagine just how widespread this. Like, we only see in the news a little bit of it, but I mean, it really is. How many attacks would you say occur a day? It's just like an endemic. It's just.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes they coordinate between each other. They call it a revenge day when they attack all over the West Bank. They announce it, usually on Shabbat, which is adds up to the hypocrisy of this whole movement.
Yeah, it always struck me as just mind blowing that Shabbos was like the most violent day for settlers. It's just.
Yeah, there is a lot of irony to that. When they were burning Palestinian houses in the village of Jabal, so in East Ramallah, 12 weeks in a row, around 10 houses were burned, and they were doing it every time only on Shabbat. And we know that according to Torah, they actually can't interact with fire and stuff, yeah, which is ridiculous.
The day that you were arrested, the attack in Duma on March 1st was also during Saturday on a Shabbat, right? I remember that day.
Possible.
I remember that day. It was the first day I started doing the media accounts for Earth of Justice, and this happened on the first day. Also, it was the second day of the Iran war, and just a few days later, the community was displaced. When I've been there.
Yeah. It was crushing. Yeah.
Yes, and how do you manage to keep up doing what you're doing with all those experiences of grief?
Well, yeah, I have to say that for a long time it was really hard for me because I was relieving the pain that Palestinians are going through. But it is very different to be a journalist and to be an activist, because as a journalist you interview these people and you hear these stories again and again, sometimes 3 times per day, and people are crying, obviously, because the stories are devastating. And I was reliving it, and at some point I realized that I just can't do this job if I will be so attached to what's happening, unfortunately. So I had to sort of dissociate. I still feel a lot of love for these people, but I also understand that this is part of my work, and I'm very connected to these people. I come because I care, but also I have to control how much I feel and how much I allow myself to feel. Unfortunately, there is a big difference between being an activist and a journalist 24/7 and coming here for a month. Yeah, but there,
And what would you?
if we will be completely honest, there, I'm on a mission, and when I know why I'm doing this. It's not just work. I'm on a mission. That's why, like, this became my life, and it's hard to forget why I'm doing this. And there is actually a balance if you try to keep up with that. Is that how much love I'm being given by Palestinians, and it does motivate me. And anger I feel by experiencing violence myself, and feeling that my friends, because Palestinians become my friends here, and experiencing all the emotions I'm going through when they, for example, disappear, and hours later I'm getting the photos of their injuries and bruises all over their bodies because they were attacked by the Israeli army. Yeah, and it does motivate me to continue doing what I'm doing.
What would you say to people abroad, people in the United States or other countries that are interested in getting involved in protective presence? What would you like to tell them?
I'd like to tell them that first of all, I really appreciate everyone who is joining us, and I see that there are more and more people. But also, you're not alone. We have a lovely community of people. We take care of each other, and we are making sure that the people who are coming on the ground are getting to learn from people who have a lot of experience, and you're not getting abandoned. You are surrounded by sorry, you are surrounded by the community, and for a lot of my friends who visited Palestine and did protective presence, it was a life-changing experience. It changes the perspective of how you see the world and life around you, and it's a cultural experience, and you get a lot of love. You see a lot of pain, but like I said, it's a balance.
I also want to say that most protective presence activists aren't doing it 24/7 like you, Adele, and not taking as many risks as you. You need like 7 or 10 activists to be one Adele. So
And that's true, true.
yeah, Moishele, you had experience with Adele in the field. Would you like to share a few words about that?
Yeah, yes, I did. I think I believe the first day we met, it was in Jabba, and it was yeah, it was. I was just super impressed with how brave you were and how you were willing to put yourself out there. And there was an attack by settlers, and there was stone throwing and
Wasn't their
slingshots,
name of throwing stones?
and
Oh yeah, yeah, that was a
yeah,
crazy day.
no, they had huge slingshots, and but yet we felt secure enough to put ourselves between the settlers who were attacking and the Palestinian youth, and like, nothing happened to us. Like, the army came up, they were very polite to us. It was we had that privilege of being able to like go out in front, and it was scary. It was very scary.
I
Yeah,
agree.
and
I agree.
about this incident, Adele, I want to ask you, what do you think would have happened if you haven't been there, you and Moishele? What would happen to the Palestinians? What would the army do? What would the settlers do?
Well, like I gave an example before, when the settlers were using the guns, actually shooting at Palestinians in Duma, they stopped doing it when we started filming. So yes, a lot of lines are blurred for settlers, and there is like an obvious image of how they're less and less careful about what is being filmed, and how much do we share on social media, because they feel a lot of impunity and protection, and they're backed by the Israeli state. And unfortunately, the world isn't doing enough about them. But still, there are lines they do not cross. They will not kill a person in front of us. They will be more careful, clearly. And yes, the army also.
Well,
The
that day the army was actually there. Actually, do you remember they were actually parked to the side while this was going
Yeah,
on?
yeah, they were
So,
just watching it. They were just watching
which was
it, but
amazing.
also, yeah,
Yeah,
but also we have to say that they saw that, like, my clear position is that Palestinians have a right to defend themselves when they're being attacked, and their life literally is in danger. So Palestinians were throwing
Absolutely.
stones back, and I do support them in that, because it does help, and it does show the settlers that Palestinians aren't as vulnerable as they think they are. They are very strong and resilient people. Uh, yeah, and the army watched them doing that, and they didn't arrest any Palestinians. But a lot of times, it does happen. People who defend themselves and who are being attacked are the ones who are getting arrested.
Yeah, absolutely. The Palestinians do have a right to defend themselves. I just want to clarify that the doing protective presence is a non-violent activity,
Yeah,
and that although we support it, we don't participate in it.
yeah, of course. We are there to witness, and what we do, for example, if there are people who got injuries, we can call the police, we can call the army, we can call the ambulance, and because of our privilege, because of our passports and our nationalities, there's more likely that the help will come, will arrive. And we also can provide some
Right.
lawyers in case they're getting arrested, and it increases the chance that they will be released earlier. So yeah, there are a lot of advantages to our presence there.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything you'd like to add, Adele, Moishele?
I think a lot of was mentioned today, yeah, and I just I really hope to see more people joining us. Because what we do is very important. These people need us,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
it's very important that they want us there. They're asking for our help, and we are
definitely.
very welcomed by these communities there.
Definitely. I'll be there in the lands in August, Adele. I hope to see you
Oh
somehow.
yeah, absolutely. We'll be very happy if yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Adele, for being on our podcast, and I hope it motivated some people to come to do protective presence.
I really support your project. It's very important.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I need to
Um,
rest because it was very emotional. I had to relive it literally many, many times because I'm seeing the scenes and my screaming in the background for like 100 times in a row. And yeah, it's a lot of emotional way.
Thank you so much for being our guest. You take care of yourself.
yeah. Good night, Adele.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.